What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Information versus implementation. Information overload is something that I have ran into so many times, and regardless of how many times I'm aware of it, I always have to go back to the basics and slow down. I consume so much information. It is something that I am obsessed with. New information all the time, or a different viewpoint on similar information. I'm constantly striving to learn. I'm constantly trying to figure something new out, navigate through a problem or a situation. And it is a revolving door of acquiring information. But at some point, having all this information is nothing more than a cause of confusion. How fast can you implement anything that you learn? And this is where the rubber meets the road. Having a new plan, having new information is great if you can implement that plan or have that information be impactful. But if you just have a bunch of information, then eventually it's probably going to be more confusion than anything. Because knowing a lot is powerful. Knowing a lot and being able to implement or do a lot is where the real power is. Ideas, actions are completely different. A vision isn't a reality. A vision is nothing more than a dream until the actions they can do to make it a reality. And information overload is real. In Strategic Coach, they use the term called hustle porn, where you're addicted to learning almost to the detriment of your own self. And when I heard that term, I thought, man, this is good, because I can relate to constantly wanting to pick up a new book or learn a new thing. But what have I done with the last few books that I read? How have I used that information I already know to implement and put into play what I know I need to put into place? Oftentimes we have the tools in the toolbox to do what we need to do. We don't need new information. We need better implementation. And implementing a plan that's new is tough, especially if you're not wired for it. Myself, I am not. I am horrible at implementing. I'm bad at developing. I can see ideas for days, but to develop them, it's not my strong suit. I would say it's one of my biggest weaknesses besides organization. So having information is great, but know that the information is only as valuable as the implementation. And majority of the time, we want this extravagant thing. Just use training for a reference. I want this thing that's going to give me this shortcut. I want this thing that's going to be faster to cut weight or whatever it may be. But that's not what's actually going to work. It's the thing that you're not facing. The hard work that you're not facing is what's going to get you to achieve the goals that you want. Your accomplishments that you have not met yet are in the hard work that you're not willing to face. So as you go back through and evaluate your information, what you've implemented, document, manage it by measuring it. You can't manage what you can't measure. The ultimate hack in life is so simple. Track what you do every day for the whole year. Write it down. Evaluate it every quarter. Scale it. Adjust it. Continue to do more of the little things that give you the big results. But majority of the time, we don't need new information. We don't need this elaborate game plan. We don't need some big innovative new thing in the market. We just need to do the little things that are kind of painful or a pain in the ass, little things every day over a long period of time. And that ends up getting us the result we want. It's just not the work we want to do because it's not glamorous. It's not flashy. When you have the information that you need and the implementation ability, whether by yourself or by your team, when you become an innovator, you are focused more on the vision than the obstacle that stands in the way. And by doing that, the obstacle becomes an opportunity. And overcoming that obstacle is seemingly commonplace. It's nothing more than having a solution-focused, positive mindset to create opportunity out of the setback. Most opportunities come from problems. Problems become opportunities. Whenever faced with this setback, though, go back to the basics. Look at the basics. What are the basics? Are they being followed? Are people being held accountable? Are the ones that are saying they're doing this thing, are they actually doing it? And can they show it to you? Ultimately, 80% of business success comes from 20% of what you do. And then the nitty gritty comes in that last 20%. But just know that you don't always need new information. Sometimes you just need better implementation. Sometimes the implementation is the problem because the information is too high and the implementation is too low and too slow. So continue to learn, but establish a parking lot of ideas of things that you may want to do in the future. Take that information and store it somewhere. Don't waste it. But focus on the implementation whenever the information is too high, because a vision is only as powerful as the ability to implement it. An idea is no good if it's just talked about. And that is difficult to navigate sometimes. Make sure that your information and your implementation are well balanced. Don't have one too high and one too low. Because if you do, you're going to have a lot of dreams without action or a lot of action without clarity on direction. And that is not something that is productive. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being efficient. Just because you're taking action doesn't mean you're being actionable with accomplishment. Action does not equal accomplishment. Information overload can be a detriment to implementation. So make sure that as you learn, you're able to implement what you learn and keep it balanced.